So in here we've got the new dive watch from Erebus. Erebus is the brand that was co-founded by Jody from Just One More Watch. And I kind of rinsed the first version of this watch, at least compared to every other reviewer. And with this new 38mm model, as the name would suggest, they have made some changes. And today I'm going to give you my first impressions on it, see if it's better than the first one, or if it's just the same but smaller. I'll link to all three of these in the video description so you can check them out for yourself. These are on loan and they will be going back. Here's your first look at it. Let's see what they've cooked up. We have, is this a black version maybe? There's a purple from the looks of it. That one definitely looks better than the black. And then we have what looks like a black, but with the inverted silver bezel. Oh, well, they're very well wrapped. Goodness me. So here are the three new colours with this Erebus Origin 38. We've got standard black with a black bezel there. And from a distance, does look very similar to the first version, as you might expect. There's also, though, a black version with an inverted bezel. Still feels just as good as the first one, but yeah, maybe I prefer the inverted bezel personally. And then we also have this, a purple version, which is certainly my favourite of the three. Now, one good change I can notice straight away is the bezels. So I'm still not like a huge fan of the look and design of the bezel, but they are at least more custom feeling bezels. So this purple one actually has a purple matching bezel, whereas previously loads of the colour versions just had the black bezel, whereas that seems to just be reserved for the black model. And then you also have this inverted option, so that's definitely an improvement. It looks less off the shelf. Size-wise, it's definitely better. I wouldn't say this is particularly a small dive watch, though. Even though it's 38mm, it doesn't look super small. It's still fairly chunky. I maybe prefer the case a little bit, though. It seems to have slightly wider chamfer, perhaps, than what I remember. Yeah, maybe it looks a little bit better. Certainly is more proportional. The last one did look really quite big. This is really a spec monster watch. So they've got sapphire crystal, 20 ATM, really high water resistance. Good lume, at least the last one did, but we'll check that in a moment. Inside here, if I get this going, I'll just get the screw down crown out. Powered by Miyota 9000 series again, I'm assuming. I think that was what was in the last one. And the only potential downgrade, I guess, is that you can see here the date window doesn't match the dial on this purple one, whereas on some of the other watches like the Ascent it does. Although the white in this circumstance does work relatively well actually with the white marker, so that's not a huge concern. It is a bit high, as you can see, there's like a gap. But one of the things they've done with this watch, according to the email, is they've tried to create less negative, like empty space on the dial. Everything is closer together, and I do think it is better looking. I still wouldn't say it's my favorite dive watch though by any stretch, not in that department at least. So yeah, it looks and feels well built. Still has a really good bezel. The bezel, yeah, feels just as good as before, but just suits and looks better. They also made some minor changes to the bracelet as well. I think they made some of the edges slightly less sharp. And this one, which is like a curved link bracelet, like a H-link, does seem to conform much better than the last one. I distinctly remember the last one not being able to flex properly until about here, whereas this one goes straight down. So this should wear significantly better for anyone with like an average to smaller wrist. As you may have noticed, it's not the best at reflections. This, I don't know, I recall maybe the last one being fractionally better in that regard. Maybe it's just this colour, but it does seem to catch the light a fair amount, especially that purple one. Let's check the exact sizing and see how it stacks up to what they're listed on the site. Across the width, the closest I can get, 38.3. Looks pretty short on this one, 44.2. Thickness is a bit chunky, 12.6. Still retains the same slide mechanism, so you can make quite easy and precise adjustments without any visual change. And the clasp looks good again. There you go, sleek and comfortable smooth edge there. Yeah, let's see how this actually looks on the wrist. Now, if you saw the last Erebus Origin review, you'll know this one fits me much, much better than that one. Now, for my 6¼ inch wrist, I'd say it's maybe a little bit on the large side, just by a fraction. My optimal range is more around the 37mm mark, but I have got a very small wrist. I think for most people, if you're considering the first gen Origin, but we're a bit unsure on the size, this is defo the one to go for instead. Much more wearable, as you can see. It's still quite a chunky watch though. Now this black one looks really good on camera. It's funny because in the flesh, I think I definitely prefer the purple, but the high contrast often looks good on camera. Something else I've noticed is they've also matched the bezels up in a sense of the texture. So this one's got like a matte black textured dial, and they've paired that with like a matte finish bezel too. Whereas the purple one, because it's got like a glossy, shiny dial, they've matched it with a glossy bezel instead. There's a look at it close up. And then there's your steel bezel model, which I probably prefer over the regular black one. I don't see it a great deal on standard dive watches, usually only on GMTs. It's got like a circular brushing, looks decent, maybe looks a bit more expensive than the standard black. Give you a close up on each of them, and then I'll do a lume test. So the previous Erebus watches both did well in terms of lume, especially the Origin. So let's see if there's any difference. Now you can see that the steel bezel model only has the illuminated triangle on the bezel, not the all the rest of the markers and numbers. But yeah, that's good lume performance, just like the first watches. So yeah, here's the new updated 38mm Erebus Origin. Do you think this is better than the first one or not? Let me know what you think.